All right. So yeah. So what I'd like to do with the rest of the time now, what we're going to do some pitch circles.
Yep.
Okay. So anything that you think, really the easiest way to do this is you're a homeowner, you're a consumer, right? You might actually be thinking about putting solar on your house. We want to talk about the biggest things that are going to be coming up, right? So as you're making these calls and you're setting up these meetings with your 2, 3, 4 companies or whoever it may be, right? What are you looking for? What are the concerns going to be, right? And we want to start to walk through that now. All right. Okay. So the way that I'd like to do this is we'll do it kind of real time, right? As you're coming up with the objections, I'll be overturning them, right? In live time. And then as soon as you're done with one, we'll roll into another.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right, hit me.
So everything sounded good, Matt, in your presentation. It's just, I have 2 other companies I want to talk to. I don't really want to jump into the credit app right now. I know I don't have to sign anything, but I'd rather talk to these other people before I, put my credit out there or get further in with you. Want to see what everybody else has to say.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think that's super wise as you as a consumer, right? You want to make sure that you get your 2, 3, 4 quotes and you're making, the right decision here. So just to kind of take a couple of steps back, what is most important to you when making the buying decision? What are you really looking for? What are you hoping to hear from one or all of these companies? To what's going to be the main moving factor for you?
Well, it's going to be the best price for the best quality product.
Absolutely. Okay. So price and product are the only 2 things that you're really caring about. That's what it's all going to come down to.
Well, for me, of course, my wife would be probably more concerned about the aesthetics.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And so price and product are number 1 overall for you. So installation quality, warranties, things of that nature are secondary.
Well, they're pretty high up there too. That just goes with the quality of the overall product. So It's not just the equipment, it's the overall product of the solar system, which would include the warranty.
So if we had to rate these things 1 through 4, right? And we were talking about, quality, right, of product, right? Because that's very different than quality of workmanship, right? So the quality of product, quality of workmanship, warranties, service, right? And price, let's say those 5 things, where would that rank for you?
That's kind of a tough one because, it's a balancing act. Many times you get what you pay for.
Sure.
So, I'd rather get something that's really good, that's reasonably priced, that's going to save me money, and it's going to last a long time. So I guess that would kind of break it down. And to that point, lasting a long time, you want a really good warranty on the system.
Without a doubt. Yeah. If you're going to spend some money, you want to make sure that if God forbid anything goes wrong, there's somebody there to handle it. Right.
Right.
Okay. So when you say quality of product is number 1 overall?
For me, yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. So, and do you think that Infinity is giving you the highest quality of product that's available on the market today? Right. So we talked about the REC, the 405s, right? REC being the most dominant force in solar right now, paired with an Enphase IQ8, right? So there's a 25-year warranty on the power, the product, right? The labor on both of those manufacturers from beginning to end with a 405-watt panel. I can tell you right now that is by far the most superior product and combination of products that are on the market now, right? Between the IQ8 and the REC 405. So we've checked that box, I assume, right?
Right.
Okay, great. And on the service, right? The quality that you're expecting, right? And the installation. I think we probably made it pretty clear during the presentation that our background is better suited than any other company in the Northeast to be able to handle an extremely high quality install, right? With the background in roofing and electrical. Do you have any doubts on that side?
No.
Okay, cool. So on the service, so we know we're really good on the product side. We know we're good on the service side. And on the warranty side, just going back to that, not only because we're using the best products, we're getting manufacturer's warranty, but Infinity is covering 25-year leak-proof penetration warranty, which is an industry best. And we're also covering the production for 25 years, which no other company is doing as well. So we know we hit the home run on that side. Right. So no other company is going to be able to touch any of those pieces, right? Including the aesthetics because of the product that we're using. So really all that's left is price, right? Now, from the proposal that we're looking at here, you're saving $47 a month, pocketing the $5,000 tax credit without spending any money out of pocket whatsoever, right?
Right.
Would you agree that that's a significant price improvement over what you currently have now?
It is.
Okay, cool, cool. So what would be holding you up from making the move to move forward with Infinity over someone else at this stage?
Well, uh, my wife just bought a car and
Mhm.
she wanted a specific Subaru, and we went and got a price, which was great. And then just out of her need to do the shopping, she went to two other car dealers just to see if there's any price difference. So that
Mhm.
would kind of be it.
Sure. Yeah, so a car, it's interesting because a car is very, very different than a solar system, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, Subaru is going to cover the warranty, right? You could buy that Subaru today in New York, and you could relocate tomorrow to California. And guess what? You could still bring that thing to any service center across the country from here to California, right?
Right.
They're still going to fix it, still the same warranty, still the same product, right? Solar is a different world, right? Because that quality of the installation, right, and the service that you have and the warranties that are attached to the installation, that's a very different story, right? That's going to vary dramatically from installer to installer, from region to region, right?
Right.
So, and again, I recommend that you would get a couple of quotes. I would do the same, right? But the things that I would really point out, I mean, for me personally, and as you just confirmed through yourself, me personally as a buyer, the number one most important thing to me is this thing going to work, right? That's the number one most important, because if someone comes in and they're $1,000 cheaper, right, but the system doesn't work, you just lost a lot of money, right?
Right.
So that's the number one most important thing for me. So is it going to work? It's backed by a variety of different things, right? Are they using an REC 405, right? If not, why, right? Are they using an Enphase IQ8 plus microinverter, right? If they're not, we know the system's not going to operate well, right?
Right.
And most importantly, if there's an issue with either one of those two things, right? If there's an issue with the penetrations where the roof is going to leak, one roof leak, right? You've lost any difference in payment, right? 500, 1,000, because if you have to call a roofer to do that, there goes any savings that you've accumulated, plus you have the additional added headache, right? So, and of course, the guarantee on the production. If the system's not working, right, you're not saving money. You're just spending more,
Yep.
right? So those are some of the things that I want to cover. And I'm sure that you'll make the right decision. But any company that you do talk to, it's imperative that you're checking these four things, right? That they're using an REC product, and that product has to be paired with Enphase IQ8 plus microinverters. If they're
Okay.
not using the quality of product, they're not worth the time, right?
Okay.
Remove them. You need to also make sure that any penetrations are being covered for a significant amount of time. If you're saying you're going to be in the house for 25 years or more, right, I'd be looking for that 25-year number on penetrations. Because if there's an issue, roof starts to leak, right, and it's not done by a company that didn't really know how to flash and seal, that's not a problem that anybody wants to encounter. And lastly, the production guarantee. You want to
Right.
make sure that if you buy something, it's going to be producing that power for 25 years.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so I would leave you with that, right? And when are you meeting with those other companies?
Let me see. I have 2 tomorrow.
Good, good. So today's Monday, tomorrow's Tuesday. Let's do this. Let's put some time aside on Wednesday to review, obviously, what the conversations that you've had, the quotes that they provided. I'm more than happy to help you dissect the quotes that they provided as well, right? To give you the insight and pull apart an agreement from my perspective as well.
Right.
So I have no problem doing that for you. What time on Wednesday works best for you? 9, 10?
Yeah, 10 would be fine.
Perfect. Great. So that's what I do on those scenarios, right? I don't want to slam this person close because I don't want to burn the lead, right?
Right.
If I push too hard, or if I say, well, just sign up now, you can always cancel, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Yeah.
it's bullshit sales, right? So I don't do any of that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to make that whoever walks in behind me now is going to fall into a trap, right? Because they're probably not going to be using an REC product. If they are, they're probably not going to be using an Enphase IQ8 plus inverter. And even if they do check both of those boxes by some luck of the draw, right?
Yep.
They're absolutely not going to have a 25-year penetration warranty, and they're not going to have a production guarantee, right? So right off the bat, I just told the guy that these are the 4 most important things that they should be looking at, but we're the only company that checks those boxes, right?
Well, I think it's super nice that you pull yourself out of this sales role and then you want to meet back in as a consulting role. So that's kind of like keeps them, it puts it in frames it differently.
It does, right? And well, the other big thing about that too is the worst possible thing that can happen is they ghost you,
Right.
Right. That's the worst possible thing, because if you get ghosted on that, you have your chance of closing that deal now is zero. Right.
Right.
Where even if, let's say they did get some really good competition in the area, I still have a minimum of a 33% chance to close that. But if I can't
Right.
get that on the phone, right, because I pushed too hard on this meeting, or I didn't let them go, or I said, screw those other companies, they don't know anything, and blah 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 blah, and you're
Yep.
going to hate them, or they're going to try to sell you something that's not going to work, or all that. He might just, I don't want to deal with Matt anymore, I don't want to talk to Matt anymore.
Right.
Right. So we want that opportunity to come back, and we want him to be open-handedly, here's what they gave me, what do you
Okay.
think? Right.
Yep.
Because if we have all the information and we have all the numbers, we know how to beat it every single time.
Right.
Right. Whether that be moving the PPW a little bit, maybe, I think I told you about this scenario not too long ago, but I pitched this guy, I had a great rapport with him, and then the guy ended up signing with someone the next day. Right. But because we had that conversation, we met the following day after that. And he's like, I just wanted to give you the courtesy. I did end up signing up with this company, right? Another outfit. And I was like, well, let's see what happened here. I was like, well, the payment was half. Well, the payment was half because you had half the panels, right? I pitched a guy a 40 panel system, and then the other company sold him a 20 panel system. So of course the payment was half.
Yep.
Right. So once we pulled all that stuff apart, he felt like he was slighted by this other company, canceled the contract, and moved forward with us.
Oh,
right?
great.
So
Yeah.
so that's what we want to be able to plan. But good objection. It's definitely going to be something that pops up without a doubt. Right.
Yep.
What else you got?
Let me see. Do the panels have to be put on the front of my house on the roof?
So this is an interesting one, right? I'm going to not pitch this as a salesperson. I'm going to explain this to you through the ins and outs, and then we'll talk about it based off the scenario.
Okay.
So the panels can theoretically go wherever we want them to go, right? But as you move the panels around, right, it shifts the TSRFs, which is going to change the savings. Right. So there's going to be certain scenarios where the front of the house has a 90 TSRF and the back of the house has a 40, right? In that scenario, the answer is just yes. Right, 100% of the power that you're receiving, right, is coming from, your front of your roof is facing dead south, right? Sun is rising in the east. It's rotating through the western sky and setting in rotating through the southern sky and setting in the west. And
right.
because of that, all the sun is hitting the front of your roof. None of it's hitting the back, right? So
Okay.
People that are typically looking at this are more aesthetically inclined. So
right.
If the system does need to go on the front, I'm talking to them about maneuvering a perfectly symmetrical system.
Okay.
Right. Where let's say they have 20 panels on let's say they have 24 panels on their roof. Right. Mm-hmm. They have 2 rows of 10 that are perfectly symmetrical. And then on another roof, they have 4 panels that are built around a dormer. Right. I might say, if we're really aesthetically inclined, let's go with the 20 panel system, right, which is going to offset 90% of your power versus the 24 panel system where we have kind of that unique array built around the dormer there that's going to offset 100. Right. At the end of the day, you're still offsetting your bill by 90%. Right. You're still showing a savings of whatever it may be. Right. And I'm working with them more on the aesthetics like that. Right. Because typically we'll be building around a skylight, a dormer, a vent, whatever it may be. But usually the middle of the system is symmetrical, and systems that are symmetrical and nice and clean and, they're not built around anything. Those look good. Right. So a lot of people will be willing to forfeit a couple percentage points on offset or power production, right, to receive the aesthetic appeal.
Okay.
All right.
Can the TSRF, you'll get an initial one or an Aurora report. Can the TSRF be fixed by okay, well, we could do this if you cut down specific trees in your backyard?
You can, you don't want to get into tree removal conversations unless you absolutely have to, or unless the homeowner starts bringing it up, right? Tree removal it's a messy business, right? If you've ever seen someone cut down a tree, it's not this really clean, delicate, easy thing that happens. It's a big deal. Yeah, these things are massive. They don't want to come down, right? They're slamming into the ground and ruining lawns and driveways, and branches are exploding into everybody's, property. It's a holy shit type of construction, I guess you can call it. So we want to try to avoid that. Now, with that being said, we do have very good tree removal partners. So if we need to call on them, we can, right? But let's go to the second scenario. Let's say we have an east-west house, right? the eastern portion of the house is facing the street, the front of the house, right? And the western side of the roof is facing the backyard, right?
Right.
In this scenario, let's say, the front of the roof, right? It has a 81 per TSRF and the back has a 73 all day. I'll shift that system 100% onto the back if I can fit it, right? And then I say, look, absolutely, we can do that. We'll move it onto the back of the roof, right? And they might need another 1 or 2 or 3 panels to get the same production, but I'm not even going to bring that up, right? Because if you really do a good job breaking down and finding what your homeowner's looking for on the front end, they're going to voice that. Right. So they're going to say that in the first 5 minutes as we're building the rapport, as we're kind of building the relationship, well, why haven't you gone solar? Or you've talked to other companies. Why haven't you taken the next step? Eventually that will come out. Right. If that conversation is drawn out enough, right, it'll come out where it's, I'm concerned about aesthetics. My wife is concerned about aesthetics. We don't like the way it looks on the front of the roof. We've seen some horrific looking solar installs, yada, yada, yada. Right. So if I have that in my pocket, I can talk to them about, the high quality look of the panels, low profile, black on black, right? Because they're so powerful, we need a lot fewer of them than most other outfits. And if I have the option to swing it onto less visible roofs, I'm going to use that.
Okay.
All right. So mostly just kind of depends on the TSRF.
Okay.
All right. But again, when I'm pitching, I'm on the offense 100% of the time, right? So I'm trying to extract all this information in the first 5 to 10 minutes of it, so I can tailor the presentation to fit their needs the best to give me the best chance of closing.
Okay.
All right. Where a more inexperienced sales rep is just going to put the panels on the front roof because it's a better roof.
Right.
Right. And they're going to lose the deal because of that.
That's so important in the initial conversation. Like, what are you looking for? It's not just saving
100%. Yeah. The saving money component is big, right? It's funny. We did a sales meeting the other week, right? And we were talking about what homeowners are most concerned about when they're looking into solar. Price was not one of them, right?
Really?
Right. It was not, right? It was, are you going to damage my roof? Is my roof going to leak? Right. It was the aesthetic look of the system, right? The value add to the home, right? But when you really think about it, right? Everybody that's going solar is going to save money, right? You save money when you go solar, point blank, right? But the primary concerns are outside of that for 99% of people. They're looking for quality, looking for service, or looking for, is this thing going to work? Is it going to operate? If there's an issue, who's going to handle that, right? What's this thing going to look like on my house? Is it going to destroy the aesthetic appeal of it, right? Those are more important than, did this guy save me $9 a month, or did he save me $11 a month, right? $2. It's not a big deal for most people, right? They'd rather have all that other stuff in there, all those other boxes checked off.
Yep.
And that's why going with a company like Infinity makes people feel super comfortable, right? Because we're not just solar experts, we're construction experts, right? This is what we do on the electrical and roofing side.
Okay.
All right, what else we got? Did that answer that question of how you would handle that?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. For sure. Let me say, I have Con Ed as my utility company, and I just lost power yesterday, and I called and I get an automated computer system. You can't talk to a human. Is that the same with you guys? Are you automated, or do you send your calls to India, or how's that?
We actually have, internally we have a 4-person customer service team that you'll be able to work with all of them at any time. Anytime you call Infinity 24/7, 365, you get a live human on the phone. Okay. Right. So you can call in the middle of the night, right? You can call at 4 a.m. right? You always get a live human on the phone that is here in America, right? That can answer your questions. And if they can't answer your questions in the middle of the night, they'll make sure that the person who can answer your questions first thing in the morning is notified to be able to give you what you need.
Okay. That's comforting to know, because it's a pain calling these utility companies and nobody answers and nobody can answer your question.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. No, our customer service team is exceptional.
Okay.
What else you got?
Well, Matt, you had talked after your presentation about just to see if I'm credit worthy. How is that not a credit check that's going to affect my credit?
So it's a soft pull, right? It's a credit peak, right? So it doesn't impact your credit. The way that this works, the initial credit pull, the peak, right, it won't affect your credit at all. it'll show up as a line item, right, on your credit report once the system is installed. So once the system is installed and payments start getting due, it shows as a line there because you have a loan out, right?
Okay.
But the initial peak to qualify you for the loan is not going to impact your credit at all. It's not visible to creditors. It's a
Okay.
soft check.
Gotcha. That's all I got.
That's it? Nothing else?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to stop this.